My roommate saved my life, but now my partner wants to kick him out?
That's not really the thing you should do.
It's a bad vibe.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm repaying you with hard times.
Also, trigger warning for alcoholism. So this is kind of a long one, but I am reaching a breaking point and I don't know who to talk to about it. By the way, this comes from Mogus7 on the Bad Roommates subreddit. So here is the thing. I am currently on my 3rd day of no sleep because I am so stressed, so maybe I'm not thinking straight. About 4 years ago, I bought a house with my longtime significant other. I work in healthcare and I let things get out of control with my drinking. I was a full-blown alcoholic, finishing a handle of 100 proof vodka in 2 to 3 days. Wow. Well, I broke up with my SO because I thought I wouldn't be able to beat my alcoholism and she didn't deserve to be with someone like me. So there I was, in a 4-bedroom house by myself. I was deep with my alcoholism and it only got worse once I was alone and no one to disappoint.
Ooh,
I was in a dark place. For a while, I was okay with the fact that I would probably pass away in my house at some point. Ugh. I finally started steps to get better. Okay, looking up.
Okay.
I went to rehab and was doing okay, but I was a dry drunk. One of my old army buddies reached out to me after not hearing from me in a while. After a long talk where he told me his woes about his life and having to pay for his dad's treatment, having to pay child support, and his wife was leaving him. He was going to either be homeless or have to live with his sister. Now, when we were in the army, I was going through divorce and needed a place to stay. He took me in and I stayed on his couch rent-free for about 6 to 8 months. I wasn't the best roommate, but I didn't make a mess or have much aside from my bag. And took up the couch in his living room. I know I could have offered money or cleaned, but I was young and didn't know how to be an adult. He never asked for anything, and to be honest, he wasn't the cleanest person either, but in all, it was the dream. 2 best friends living together, working out, playing video games, and hanging out. Some of the best times of my life. I offered him a place to stay. No charge, just like he did for me 9 years ago. Now, as an addict, I quickly relapsed after he moved in. Ooh. I was back to my old drinking ways, but he never said a word about it unless I brought it up. The house quickly turned into a pigsty. The yard became a forest, and I got a letter from the city. Wow. I didn't care. I had my best friend and alcohol. Of course, this became unsustainable. After I eventually broke down about my drinking, he became my only confidant. He told me that he would make sure I got the help I needed. I made my 2nd trip to rehab. It's interesting because it seems like the friend moving in was the reason that OP started to drink again, but also it seems like OP's going to him to get support to go to rehab. So it's an interesting dynamic.
It's a real, addiction has so many weird, interesting, triggers and you would think certain environments might help that just are really bad. And it's it's also hard to be in the friend's position because it's sometimes somebody coming to you and wanting to help you is also a trigger to be to go further into it. So it's it can be a really, and that's why a clinical setting is very helpful and important in treating addiction because it's an incredibly nuanced and complicated thing.
Yeah. And also finding the right clinical setting because a lot of those places, a lot of places are very good, but a lot of places, are not. So you have to make sure you're doing research and stuff. I made my 2nd trip to rehab. I was so low because I couldn't imagine that my life was this way. During this time, I was making a significant amount of money. Wow. To the point that I was making hand over fist, even with all my drinking, which is also hard because it, allows for more drinking.
Yeah.
We had come up with financial plans. He had filed for bankruptcy and had no money. We decided that I would give him an allowance and he would control my money because I didn't trust myself to not buy alcohol. Still didn't work. I was okay with this because I had enough to support myself, him, and his son, who is my godson. I was paying for food, gas, and all healthcare. He got me to see a therapist and we had long talks about my SO, who I was still madly in love with, but was determined to move on because she deserved better. During my 2nd stint in rehab, he reached out to her. She saw me on my 1st day out of rehab. I was a mess. I didn't want her to see me like this, but I was sober for 35 days at that point. Longest I had been in 15 years. She never skipped a beat about caring for me. I was awestruck. Wow. What a partner. Oh. And also, I think actually the title could work. It seems like this friend is kind of being really helpful. Mm-hmm. I had been such a horrible boyfriend for a long time, but she still cared for me. Things got better for me after a couple stumbles. I am now a year and some change now, in no small part thanks to her and my best friend. I realized I needed to stop being selfish. The final straw was losing our first puppy/dog we had when we got together. I was devastated. I missed years of seeing him, and during that time, he got sick and she had to care for him. I still have guilt to this day about it. I promised myself I would never touch alcohol again, and so far, a year into it, I have kept that promise. It hasn't been easy, but I have done it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
It's definitely not easy.
Very hard.
Definitely
Very
not
hard.
easy.
Yeah. I had to get a new job, which my SO found for me. I lost a lot of weight because no alcohol, but also because I started to make better life choices. I cook healthy meals and constantly go for walks with our other dog on top of my active job. Things have never been better in terms of my mental, physical health, and my job. I realized that I can be the person my SO always saw I was. We started dating again and slowly reconnecting. This is great.
That's two stories that have made me like.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of crazy.
Aww.
That was really
You're really getting all the feels today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is great to see someone like come, have dropped so low in their life and then have a support system around them is really amazing.
Yeah.
She still lives with her parents, but spends most of her time with me and the new roommate. I made a deal with myself that if I could go 6 months and not even think about alcohol, I would propose. 6 months came and went. I realized every morning I woke up next to her and I couldn't wait to ask her. We had dated for 8 years before that. I never thought I would take that step, but here we are. I proposed after asking her father, and she said yes. This is so good. Oh.
Excellent.
You're just doing great, OP. She's going to be moving back in the end of October. I couldn't be happier. She is the perfect partner. She takes care of everything and never makes it an issue. When I was keeping that promise to myself, I decided to look inward, make change in my personal life as well. No more leaving dishes in the sink, clothes on the floor, the bathroom a mess. I was kind of already clean, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't just a man-child that she would have to take care of. I wanted to prove to her I could be a good husband even if I didn't propose yet. I don't think I do a lot, but I try to think of things that she would do for me and try to do it before she even thinks about it. I never ask her for anything, and she is now my priority. And there's more, but just like quickly pausing. Even like obviously you want to be a good partner and make sure you're pulling your weight, but just from a standpoint of like, I think like working through addiction and stuff, building these kind of healthy habits is, I think, really good just for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it takes just, it's one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people would say a lot of different ways and a lot of different paths that, recovery can take you down. But it's like, I feel like just the biggest thing is having a support system.
Absolutely.
And having this partner.
Yeah. Just so lucky.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible partner.
So here comes the stress. Dang. While I was in rehab, my BFF was in charge of my finances.
Oh, no. I didn't even. Oof. Yeah, that was not a great thing to kind of let go by the wayside in a way.
No. I was in rehab, so the only thing I could buy were cigs. For 35 days in detox and sober living, I wasn't buying much since I didn't really need it at that point. In that time, my friend racked up $10K on one credit card and about another $10K on my other one.
Okay. Wow. Ooh.
I was jobless at that point because I couldn't travel anymore. I was desperate, but he told me that it would be okay and things would be taken care of. He spent money on everything from food, gas, Steam games, etc. He does not have a job. He collects disability from the military, but most of that goes towards child support and paying his own debt / car payments and whatnot. What a terrible friend.
No way.
Terrible.
You spent that on food and
Steam games.
And what?
It's just disgusting.
10K in 35 days? Do you hate this guy who took you in?
It was 20K. It was 10K on two
different cards. Wow.
He collects disability from the military, but most of that goes towards child support and paying his own debt / car payments and whatnot. I didn't mind initially since I was making tons of money, and I can't take it with me. At one point, he took his car to get fixed, and the dealership held it for months. During that time, he borrowed my new truck. In the months that he had it, he got 3 tickets from traffic violations and never paid them. Nothing big, $30 here and there, but he never told me or forgot. He has ADHD, autism, and a whole bunch of health problems to the point he has applied for SSD. He started that about 6 months after moving in with me. That was 3 years ago. He still doesn't know when that will come through. This prevents him from getting a job because if he did, they would cancel the process.
Oh, so you're wanting to not have a job is preventing you from getting a job? Is that what I just heard?
That sounds
OP.
crazy.
OP. Oof. Well, you weren't really in a position to set any boundaries with this guy at that time, but
you gotta set them now.
Yeah, this guy needs to know exactly. Hey, here's A, B, and C. If you don't do these things, you gotta get out.
Like, you're gonna pay me back this $20K that you used.
And if he won't, get the police involved. That's $20K.
That's insane.
It's not nothing.
On top of the credit card debt, I also gave him well over $5K through Venmo. The therapist he took me to was expensive, and I was spending $250 on myself every other week. He was also seeing her as well as his son. That went on for months. The money I made and had saved quickly dried up. Now, I know I'm not great with keeping track of money, but even I could see this wasn't going to end well if I didn't change something fast. When my SO found a job for me that was low stress, I jumped on it. For months, I worked 6 12-hour days for months. I didn't buy things I didn't need. I started cooking at home, which led to weight loss. I've always been fat due to the drinking. I was able to pay off $20K of credit card debt all by myself while maintaining the house. I mow the grass every week. I make sure the house is clean, and I was taking care of myself mentally. I was able to buy an engagement ring and do major improvements around the house. I pinched pennies and worked my butt off. I meal prepped and did the dishes. I became the nanny of the house. I know I can be kind of intense when it comes to cleaning things, so I never expected him to be super clean or do chores since it was my house. Again, after working 12 hours for months, I would come home and dishes were piled up for days. I cleaned them, trash piled up, I took it out. I stopped smoking, and now I spend a couple hours a week picking up cigarette butts. I wonder, is that from the friend? Is that what he's implying? He said, because he said I stopped smoking, so I'm wondering if he's saying like my friend is still smoking, and so I'm cleaning up after him.
I immediately took that as like some kind of volunteer work or something, because there's no way you spend hours,
a couple hours a week.
I think maybe I took a jump there, but I don't understand how you could be picking up hours worth of cigarettes every week. Like,
I know what were especially.
Does he not have an ashtray? Like put them somewhere. Who is this guy?
I think this is I think what's happening here is
go
the
ahead.
friend is so it says like OP comes home after 12-hour shifts, and he's leaving these dishes in the sink. Trash is piling up because of the friend. The cigarette butts are piling up. I saw he was gaining weight, so when I make food, I try to make enough for him as well because, hey, why not? And didn't think he could spend money on fast food in this day and age. He buys Papa John's, Dunkin', Taco Bell. You name it, he gets it. He sometimes asks if I want something, but it was getting to a point that when I did, I would pay for it, so I stopped saying yes. This wouldn't be that bad, but he does not work. He lives in my finished basement with a bathroom and my big TV that I can't use since he has monopolized the downstairs. Again, not bad since I really don't get a lot of time at home. When I get home, I see trash, food, and general mess everywhere, and when I asked what he did today, he played video games, slept all day, or just hung out. Nothing gets done at the house unless I do it. I try to ask him to help with things, but more often than not, he either can't do it or has something going on that I eventually give up or just do it myself. Again, I don't mind this since I'm the one who doesn't like mess and wants a super clean home. He has a weird sleep schedule, and so that makes it hard for him to do normal things like vacuum without keeping me up, although I don't care or hear anything he does since he's in the basement. For 3 years, this has been the case. Maybe not as bad in the beginning, but now it has become evident since my SO has spent time in the house with us. Ooh, that would be really hard for probably her as well, just to be in this like house where it's just so messy.
I can't imagine. If I was the SO, I'd be like, hey, it's me or him at this point.
Honestly,
and
there's more to the story, but yeah.
And this is the same guy that brought OP in, right? Because this guy is now crashing with OP. OP at one point had nowhere to go, and this person helped them.
Yeah, it's that feeling of like indebtedness.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think OP just like needs to realize or have someone tell him, you are still in a position where you are, fortunately you are sober, but you're still in a really kind of fragile position.
Yeah.
Where your sobriety and your like upward trend, if pushed or if like taken off balance, could revert.
Yeah, you
and
don't want to do anything that could jeopardize
you don't
that.
want. Yeah, exactly. And living with this guy who is a slob and is smoking all the time and is taking your money is not gonna help you maintain that. Like that, it's not to say that you will revert because of him, but it's definitely not a great position to be in.
No. And I have a theory on why this behavior has probably started to spiral a little bit.
For the guy?
For the friend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it was already it was probably already kind of negative.
Yeah.
But I feel like now it's getting like he's leaning into it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because you're
Enabling
actively
it.
taking steps to improve your life.
Oh.
And a lot of times it's like
money.
people kind of want to stay down in the same place with the same people.
Mm-hmm.
It was very comfortable when you were in active addiction and he's like,
he had to help you.
He's not trying either, right? Essentially is what the vibe is like. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay to do this because look, he's doing it with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's lost that partner and he's just like sinking further and further into these negative habits and negative behaviors.
And I was going to say, like before, OP's also somewhat enabling this by giving him money and letting him stay there.
Right,
and stuff.
exactly.
So it's even like worse.
The best situation for both of you is to approach him with care. Like you don't want to just be like, get out, slob. You're like, you're ruining my life. But it's like, be like, hey, I've noticed some changes and they're not good for you. I think getting out of this environment, getting away from me might be good for you because it's like there is sort of a reflexive effect. Like when people have their own issues and they see someone, sometimes this can happen, you see someone getting better, it almost makes them get worse.
Yeah.
Because now they're ashamed more of the shame, the vicious cycle of shame.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
I try to take care of it before she notices or cares, but there's only so much I can do when I'm at work so often. His bathroom is something from my nightmares, and his bedroom and living area isn't much better, but out of sight, out of mind. She has been patient, but he leaves dishes in the sink for days, leaves stuff out in the kitchen, and doesn't clean up after himself. He's like Hansel and Gretel. I can see where he made the food, ate it, and left the dishes. He eats like a caveman, and it's his last dish. I used to be just like this when I lived with him. Maybe not to that extreme, but yeah. My SO has called me multiple times while I'm at work, complaining about the mess and whatnot. I am on her side mostly. She works 12-hour shifts like me, and when she comes home, she doesn't want to do someone else's dishes or clean up after them. He uses appliances and doesn't put them back or clean them when he does cook, which is sporadic. I have tried to make a section of the fridge, freezer, and pantry for him so there is a place for everything. He never puts things back and always has a reason for it, like his brain doesn't work that way or it isn't organized the way you would do it. I get it. My brain doesn't work that way sometimes, but I make an effort to make it work. He is also very careless when it comes to things. He has broken multiple things. He's burned my cutting board twice by putting a hot pan on it.
How do you do that twice?
Twice, yeah.
How do you do that twice?
He leaves the front door unlocked, and since he has a weird sleep schedule, he comes and goes at weird times. I have social anxiety, and I'm not very outspoken, especially now that I don't have alcohol to coax what I want to say out of me. The thing is, I love this dude. He is my brother and more of a family than my real family. All this crap doesn't get to me often unless I don't get a lot of sleep, which happens more often than not. My SO is so sweet and has been so patient waiting for me to say something to him since he is my BFF. Instead of talking to him, I have tried to shield his mess from her eyes, but it only goes so far. My SO complains to me, and I feel horrible because I know her hands are tied and I'm not doing a great job at communicating. Again, really quick pause. If you want to continue to be his best friend or have him in your life, I think the best way to make sure of that is to not live with him anymore.
Well, yeah, he's got to get out of there.
You have
living here is not doing him any favors
Nor
whatsoever.
is it doing your friendship any favors because you're just going to keep resenting him.
Well, yeah,
and it's going to keep getting worse and worse. And then your friendship's going to, like, I'm not saying that you need to stop being friends with this person. You just can't live with him.
I think the biggest thing is you need to hammer home, hey, you can't be waiting for SSD. You need to go get a job.
Yeah.
You need to work.
Exactly.
Like,
because you're taking all my money.
You know, and it can be delicate if someone's being like, yeah, but I have ADHD and I have this and I have that. But it's like, if you have the wherewithal to mooch off of us this entire time and like, I don't know, man, it's delicate. But at the same time, it's like, you need to try to stand on your own 2 feet. If you're going to continue to expect, at least if I was OP, if you're going to continue to expect me to allow you to do this or to be here, you have to show me your effort in that you don't want to just be stuck in my basement with no job.
Exactly.
Like, you got to show me something.
Yeah. My SO and I have been doing house projects, and of course I've been fronting the bill for it, which again, because I work so damn much. He has gotten upset that we have moved stuff around and paid for things like remodeling our bathroom. Dude, you can't get upset when you're living for free. You're living there for free.
Yeah.
This has all been stuff in common rooms or our rooms. His basement areas and his son's room remain untouched. He wants to do projects and build things, but I know he doesn't have any money and expects me to pay for it, like redoing his bathroom, buying furniture, and buying building supplies because he wants to make a shed and build planters.
Wait, his son is staying there with him?
Yeah, this is the whole time.
Oh,
He's been paying for his son's therapy and this guy's therapy.
I always say, think of the children. That explains a lot more as to why. I'm like, why has he been so lenient with this guy? That is the final piece of the puzzle for me. That went right over my head. I totally missed that. I don't want to threaten him with social services or anything, but at this point, it's like you are not capable of taking care of your own child.
I mean, he's not taking care of him.
You gotta show me something, dude.
You need to step up.
Gotta.
I would love that, but I don't want to spend money on stuff he will either not do correctly or most likely not finish, and then I will have half-built things in my backyard. He tells me it upsets him when I do stuff but not things he wants, and he says it's irrational, but he's still hurt. It's OP's house. It's OP's place that he's paying for.
I don't understand how you could possibly be like, I know it's irrational, but I'm upset. If you know that, then shut up, dude.
Yeah, don't keep it to yourself.
If you know you've got an irrational problem, keep it to yourself. Yeah. It's irrational.
Go talk to your therapist that OP is paying for.
Yeah.
This is all coming to a head because my SO doesn't want to be married and have to be worried about cleaning up after someone and feeling bad about doing house projects. She doesn't want to have to ask to do things or use things in case my BFF needs the washer or quiet time to do interviews for healthcare stuff. She doesn't want to be a guest in her own home. I get it, but I'm such a schmuck and I can't bring myself to voice these things that bother her and ultimately me. I just wish he would become a best version of himself and clean up and take responsibility for himself when he is inconsiderate. So here I am. I feel stuck. I am not hurting for money at all. I'm actually doing super well. He still hasn't paid for a single thing outside of some food he got me a couple of times and maybe some gas. But eventually he ends up with no money and asks if he can borrow some. 3 years, I have never asked him for money until recently. I still have about $8,000 in credit card debt that I could pay off, but now that my SO and I are getting married, we are joining our finances. She was appalled at how much I have given him over the years. She didn't tell me, but I knew that in order to make things at least somewhat right, I would ask him to pay off just that. He said that his money is coming soon, although he has said that for about 1.5 years now. Again, he can't take a job because of disability, and when I suggested going to school and using the GI Bill so he could at least have some money, he had excuses like didn't want to waste his GI Bill or that his other child is in a different state, and he goes to see her every couple of weeks and is gone for a week, sometimes more, so school is impossible.
It's like, I don't want to waste my GI Bill
I just want to waste your
making
money.
my life better and giving myself a skill to give myself ridiculous. A career and a job. I'd rather use my GI Bill on other stuff like DoorDash and video games.
Steam. Yeah. Like, what?
Dude.
How can you he is so entitled. Like, to the fact that he has access to this money, access to this like plan and stuff, and instead just gonna keep riding off of OP's money and funds.
It blows my. It's like when you have a kid, you're living with your son too. It's like this almost feels like it has to be like a mental health crisis of some kind.
Well,
like,
it is. I mean,
because there's no way you could live like this for this long.
I think the fact that he's on disability, there is probably, and also has been like, living in OP's basement, there's definitely some sort of mental health problem there. When we talked about the payback, he always tells me about all the money he will spend on the house, whatnot. Thing is, I don't want him to spend any of that money on me. I want him to get back on his feet, but I just want him to pay off the little debt I have left from him. Like, I even paid off some of that too before my SO saw. He says he should get close to $60,000 between back pay and his military disability getting increased as well. But that is also taking a long time to go through. God bless the VA and its stellar healthcare of vets. I don't even want a lump sum. I told him he could pay like $500 a month, so that way if he ever has money issues, it won't be for something I need like rent or food. It is a credit card, so it can go for a bit. I just don't know what to do at this point. My SO is unhappy, which makes me unhappy. I'm trying to make everything calm and take care of myself, my SO, and my BFF. That's it. The OP is trying to take care of too many people. You need to take care of yourself first. That's the thing. Like, you need to sort, like, you've been trying so hard to sort your own life out, and you are on such a great track, but you need to stop, like, You
Stop
should not
taking responsibility for this guy.
Yes. Yeah.
He is not your responsibility.
No.
And I
He's an
really feel
adult.
like he knows that the kid's involved, and he's weaponized that.
I think so.
He knows that because the kid is there, that OP will not kick him out.
Yeah.
Because I cannot imagine OP would have put up with this for this long if there was not a child involved. Because what do I always say?
Think of children.
Think of the children.
I think there is. I mean, I definitely think the child has a huge sway on the situation, but I do think that OP is just like feels incredibly indebted to this guy because of the first thing. So I feel like there's that too.
He did also mention that because he's not confrontational at all.
Yeah.
And like I think that might have played into the alcoholism a little bit, because he did make a comment about how it's like it made it easier for him to do that.
Yeah.
But it's like you need to have had several hard talks with him.
Yeah.
And you do need to, like, regardless of the child's presence at this point, you need to put up a hard boundary, because it's also going to be better in the long run. Getting this guy to become responsible for himself will be better for the kid.
Yes.
Like having his dad just mooch off of you and live in your basement forever, it's not going to be good for the kid, because then that's going to be his role model.
Exactly.
And he's going to just become another basement moocher.
Basement moocher. Little basement moocher.
The basement moocher. I got a basement moocher. I got to call pest control. I got a basement moocher in my basement. Yeah.
Someone sort out this basement mover.
So yeah, I think you need to be like, these are not negotiable.
Ground rules.
This is what's going to have to happen.
Set them.
And
enforce them.
No matter what, it leads to you are moving out.
Yes.
It doesn't lead to and then you can stay.
No.
You have to go.
Yeah.
Here's the game plan.
You need to start your own life with your SO.
Yeah.
And that does not involve your BFF.
Yeah.
I reached a tipping point the other day as it was our dog's birthday and it is the first year without him. Aw. My SO and I have been cleaning because my mother is coming to town to meet her parents. We were having a great time. I just asked my BFF to make sure his area wasn't a visible mess and that my mom was going to sleep in his son's room a couple nights. His son isn't here as he has split custody with the mom. His son, my godson, is adorable and smart, but he takes after his father. He brings food into his room and sometimes it's in there for weeks. Until I just randomly happen to go in there. Trash and general mess like a little kid would typically leave, but his dad doesn't clean up after him. The bathroom that his son uses in the hallway is always a mess. Clothes and towels left everywhere. The shower faucet is always running.
What?
What?
How do you do that? What?
You just exit the shower and you keep it going? You're like,
Somebody tell this kid how the off function works.
I feel like you could have that
faucet.
conversation with them. You can be like, dude, you need to turn off the shower.
Yeah.
When they leave, I give it a couple of days, hoping his dad will clean it, but he never does. Or if he does, it's hard to notice because it's still somewhat messy and I clean it up. My SO now has had to do it a couple of times too. Well, the other day I had to do some laundry and I was in the basement. And as I was in the basement, my SO asked about the shower since my boyfriend has asked about redoing and there's been some mold. Since my BFF.
Yeah,
my
I mean,
boyfriend.
you're housing him and paying his way like he is your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like.
Since my BFF has asked about redoing and there has been some mold issues probably because this little child is keeping the freaking shower running.
Yeah.
That's probably why you have mold issues.
I get being non-confrontational, but you can tell a kid how the off button works.
Hey, turn off the shower when you're out, okay?
Turn it that way, and when you're done, you turn it back.
That's like shower 101.
Yeah.
It's the first thing you learn.
We'll start small. Let's look at the sink. You turn it on, you turn it off.
Yeah.
Same thing over there, buddy.
It's crazy how that works. We had to deep clean it because it was bad a couple of months ago. My SO did the whole thing. It looked brand new. We just asked to make sure that it stays clean because, it's freaking mold. No one wants that. Well, that was a mistake. It was back to its old moldy way, close to what it was before we cleaned it. I just lost it. I didn't know what it was, but I snapped and everything I'd been bottling up just came out. I ranted to my SO about pretty much what I'm writing here. We asked for this and he hasn't taken care of it. My mother is due this week and my BFF is leaving to go see his child in a different state. He has been sleeping and just not been around to help clean, which is fine, but I know he's not cleaning his basement well. His son's room is still packed with stuff that I asked to be moved just to the closet, so my mom has room to move around and she isn't stepping on toys or pieces of food, which happens every time I go into that room. Disgusting. I just don't know what to do. I'm lost. I love this dude. He took care of me when I was a complete wreck / alcoholic. He never judged me and made sure I got care. He reconnected my SO and me. I just want him to succeed, but this is becoming unsustainable. I am slowly losing my mind, and sadly, I had the very quick thought that maybe I just need to have a few. Not a lot, but enough to get tipsy so I can actually talk to him. But I know me, and for an addict, it is never just one. The second that you have those thoughts, he needs to go. He needs to go because this is an unsafe environment for you.
If you feel like you cannot present this to him physically without like being in intense discomfort, write like what you just did, write this down and present it to him.
Yes.
In like a letter format. Like being confrontational can be really hard. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. It's not a lot of people are comfortable with confrontation. They literally made an entire movie where it's like George Clooney plays a guy whose entire job is firing people because he doesn't care. Dang. But most people care about confronting and anticipating a negative response. So just write him a letter if you can't do it.
Exactly.
You could put all this in there and
you can still be friends with him.
You'll come from a place of love. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I couldn't believe I let the thought even tickle my brain. I have lost sleep and I feel like I'm losing my mind. I can't turn to my SO because this is about him, and I can't turn to my BFF because, well, yeah, I am coming to the internet out of desperation. Please knock some sense into me. Tell me I need a man up, or maybe I'm not looking at this clearly, or I am overblowing things. Maybe I don't have his complete side of the story and I'm overbearing clean freak or something that I can't see. Oh. I want my SO to be happy and safe in her home. I want my friend to not be homeless and have a plan for his future. He helped me, and I have gotten so far already with the weight loss, paying off debt, making strides in my work to the point I'm going to get a decent raise here soon. I have completely stopped giving him money since my SO would see it, and if he asked, I would tell my SO because we're a team, but she would not be okay with it. He is a brilliant dude and is writing and making games, which is cool, and he says he'll get paid eventually, but I'm worried that this is just another money will be here any day now kind of thing. Lastly, when my SO and I get married, she doesn't want a roommate and wants him to find his own place.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are starting a life together. Of course she doesn't want that.
Yes.
Hopefully, when he gets that money, he will be able to, but it's been almost 2 years that he has said that money is coming. I don't want him to be homeless, nor do I want his son to not have a place to stay. They have joint custody. His mom will take the son. Like that's
maybe the son.
What?
No, I was gonna make a joke. It's just like the son is like, I refuse to live with my mom
full time. I can't do it. No, but like if this comes to it and like the dad doesn't have a safe place to live or whatever, the courts will just give the custody to the mom, which sucks, but maybe that'll shock this guy into like getting a job. And I am sure it will make the shared custody of things a mess since he won't have a place of residence. Exactly. All I see when I try to get up the courage to say something is my buddy who took me in and helped when I needed help out on the streets when I can clearly help him.
Well, I don't know about that.
But you can't. That's the thing. Like, maybe monetarily you can help him, but the thing that I just don't think that you are in a headspace right now to help this guy effectively.
Your quote unquote help is like you're helping him like prop up the lifestyle he's had that has put him in this bad position.
Yeah.
You're helping him maintain where he's at, which is not where he should want to be.
No. I have plenty of rooms, space, and money, but I also realize that I work my butt off for that money and keeping the house clean, and I want to enjoy it. I worked hard for this. I want to work less and just hang out with my SO and be a hermit in my own house. My SO doesn't pay much other than groceries, which we also sometimes buy stuff for him because why not? I pay him for almost everything myself, so this house is mine and mine alone in terms of responsibilities. But now that my SO and I are getting married, she will be on the mortgage, which is pretty much paid for, so she offered to just pay utilities and buy groceries for us. She doesn't make as much as I do, so I don't expect her to split it 50-50, but it was nice of her to offer any help. Now, I see this as unfair as my BFF has not paid for pretty much anything in the house. I even bought him a new computer that was like $2,000 so he could work.
Oof. That's not going to get used for work. That's going to get used for games, buddy.
Games. Although I have gotten home from a long day of work, he says he hasn't done anything but play games while I stare at the dishes in the sink. Help me. I know this sounds like a rant of a crazy person, and I seriously feel like I am. I am torn because I can see how insane and just unfair this all is for everyone, but I just don't have the mental capacity and capability to do anything about it. I never thought I would question my sobriety, but here we are, and it's because I can't communicate without thinking I am saying something wrong, so I just shut up and let it boil. I was going to see my therapist again since I had a weak moment, but I don't know when I will have a chance to do so since I'm working and going to school for my bachelor's. My time is thin, and any time I do have off, I just want to spend happy time with my SO, but it is often overshadowed by things that my BFF does that is either inconsiderate or puts us in an awkward position since my SO and I have a hard time saying no to helping people. But we'll never say no to you joining us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok.
Never, never, never.
Just tap her profile.
Just give it a
Probably
tap.
live right now.
Maybe you should go check right after we finish this story.
And there is a little bit left to this story.
Yep.
But I think I agree with you. I think OP's having a hard time verbalizing this to his friend, in which case I think you just got to write it out and put those feelings down of like, I love you, but I have questioned my sobriety. I am, not doing well. I want to have a life and a home with my partner. And I think it's time that you move out. I will always be there for you, but I can't do it in this way.
Yeah. No, I just had a really great idea, I think. But yes,
Get into it.
You do need to be able to feel, and if you, and most of all, if you feel like your sobriety is in any way jeopardized by this guy being here, he needs to be gone yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs to know about that, and he should care about that because, like you said, he was there for you when you were in the thick of it, and he was trying to help you. So if you voice that to him, maybe that will maybe snap him out of it and be like, oh, I'm actually such a negative force on you right now.
Yeah.
This is okay. I don't want to be that person, hopefully. And if that still doesn't work, man, sometimes you just got to give people the cold water.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought that I had is, what if we did that?
What?
I mean, not that, but it's like somebody's like, I don't know how to tell somebody something like awkward. I don't know how to
we record.
And we call
hey.
in. They call us, and we call in. We're like, hey.
We do like a radio
Jerry
show.
has something he needs to tell you, actually.
Yeah, we do the radio show host thing.
Yeah, well, I'll be upfront about this. This is inspired by a guy who I guess I'll signal blast because his name's John Breaks Bad News. It's
so funny.
It's great. If we did
we'll
something
break up with. I already proposed to someone for someone.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So you've already done the proposal.
I've already done a proposal.
Let's do the breakup stuff. You need someone to break up with? We'll break up with.
We'll do it.
Let us know if you want to.
We go.
Maybe do that.
Hey.
We're workshopping ideas.
So-and-so really likes you, really appreciates the time that you guys had together. It's not working out, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in a healthy way, probably you should have that conversation.
Sure, but in a way that's really
but
healthy
in a really fun way?
For us.
Yeah. I know I need to talk to him, but where do I begin? When we talk, I feel like he has an answer or excuse for everything, and I just have to be patient with him, but it's been 3 years. I want to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but because he is always changing plans or seeing his kids, and I'm either working, cleaning, cooking, or sleeping, it is hard to sit down and actually talk. When we do, I am exhausted and just want to talk about fun stuff like what he's writing about or some jokes that we saw on Reddit. This post is super specific, and I am sure he will see it. He is the smartest dude I have ever had the pleasure of knowing, so he can easily make the mental leap. I am honestly just hoping this gets buried and he doesn't see it, because then I will have to address this post with him. This post is too long, and I am sure maybe OP needs it though.
Yeah, I was like, you should
maybe
want him to see this post, honestly.
This post is too long, and I'm sure no one will read it, but I needed to get this out as it has been eating me alive. I gotta post this because I'm posting on my phone, and I wrote so much I don't want to lose this. I am horrible with technology. I am a boomer at heart, I guess. Any advice would be helpful, or maybe a fresh perspective that isn't someone directly involved in this. Like I said, I might be overreacting or just an a-hole in general, but I need to know. If you took the time to read this, thank you. And that is the end of that story.
You're welcome, OP.
You're welcome. But yeah, no, you're not overreacting.
No, if anything, you're underreacting.
You're underreacting
like,
very
big time.
far under the reaction that you should be having. Man. And
I think we've pretty much laid out exactly what you should do.
Yeah, this is the game plan. The game plan is hopefully he finds this Reddit post, and then you don't even have to start the conversation. The Reddit post starts the conversation. Or you write it out and you give it to him.
Yeah.
That is the end of this episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.